My sister announced at my baby shower, "I'm pregnant too, and my baby matters more because it's a boy." My mom made everyone sing to her. They put my gifts in her car. I smiled, said congratulations, and left. What they didn't know, I'd planned that shower to test them. The real one was tomorrow, with my friends. When they saw the photos of the $40,000 event they missed, the first time I realized I'd been set up was when my mom clinked a spoon against a glass and said, "Okay, everyone, let's do a little song." Not for me, for my sister. We were at my baby shower. The one with the pastel balloons, the welcome baby banner, and the little paper cups filled with those overpriced mints I didn't even like. I was 7 months pregnant, wearing a dress that pinched under my ribs, trying to breathe through my nose because the smell of buttercream was making me nauseous. My sister stood up like she'd been waiting for her cue. She smoothed her hair, placed one hand dramatically on her stomach, and said loud enough for the whole room, "I'm pregnant too." A few people gasped. A couple of my aunts squealed. My mom's face lit up like someone had just handed her a winning lottery ticket. Then my sister added with a smile that didn't reach her eyes, "And my baby matters more because it's a boy." The words hit like cold water. I felt my throat close up. My hands went tight around the edge of my plastic cup. My baby kicked once, hard like she'd felt it too. I waited for my mom to correct her, to say something like, "Don't be ridiculous," or "That's not how we talk about babies." Instead, my mom laughed. Actually laughed. "Oh my gosh," she said, pressing a hand to her chest. "You've always been so funny." My sister tilted her head. "I'm not joking." And that's when my mom turned to the room and said, "Everyone, let's sing to her. This is so special. A grandson." People looked at me. A few looked uncomfortable. But no one wanted to be the one to ruin the moment. So they went along. My mom started humming a messy, improvised version of Happy Birthday, except she changed the words to Happy Baby. And everyone sang. To my sister. At my baby shower. I stood there, smiling so hard my cheeks hurt, while my sister basked in it. She even did a little wave like she was on stage, which was funny because that was usually my world. I'm Jennifer. I'm 32 and I sing in bars for a living. Not stadiums, not fancy concerts. Just the kind of places where you dodge drunk guys who think Freebird is a personality trait and the tips come in sticky singles. I live in a small apartment outside town and I've worked every weekend for years to keep my bills paid and my head above water. I was also the person my family called when they needed money. And they always needed money. It started small. Can you cover mom's prescription this month? Can you help with dad's car repair? Can you loan your sister a little until payday? It was never payday for them. Not really. I sent my parents $200 here, $300 there. I paid the electric bill when my mom cried that it was going to get shut off. I covered my dad's unexpected dentist bill. I bought groceries and left them on their porch like some kind of delivery service they didn't have to thank. And my sister was the biggest leak in my bank account. She had a way of saying, "I'm stressed," like it was a magic phrase that turned into a Venmo request. I paid her phone bill more than once. I covered half her rent just for this month. I bought her kids' school clothes when she posted sad Facebook statuses about struggling mamas. Meanwhile, she treated me like the help. She'd call me Jenny in that sharp little voice when she wanted something. She'd roll her eyes when I talked about my gigs, like singing for a living wasn't a real job unless you were famous. And when I got pregnant, the reaction wasn't joy. It was calculation. My mom asked, "Are you keeping it?" before she even asked how I was feeling. My sister said, "Well, I hope it doesn't mess up your work schedule." No one offered to throw me a baby shower until my aunt brought it up in the family group chat. And even then, my mom took over with a kind of excitement that felt wrong. Like she wasn't excited for me, she was excited for the attention. I should have known, because this wasn't the first time they'd made sure I knew my place. At my niece's birthday last year, my sister opened the gift I brought and said, "Oh, it's practical," like I'd handed her kid a bag of potatoes. At Thanksgiving, my mom introduced my cousin's new girlfriend like she was royalty, then pointed at me and said, "And this is Jennifer. She sings in bars, not she's my daughter, not she's expecting. Just she sings in bars." And every time I swallowed it, every time I smiled and told myself, it's fine, it's just how they are. But pregnancy does something to you. It makes you feel protective in a way you can't ignore. And the first time I heard my baby's heartbeat, I promised myself something. I promised I wouldn't raise my child inside a family that treated love like a competition and money like entitlement. So I made a plan. I didn't tell anyone. Not even my boyfriend, Mark, at first. Mark wasn't flashy, but he was steady. The kind of man who refilled my gas tank without making a big deal about it. The kind of man who listened to my gigs and smiled like he was proud. even when I was singing to a room full of people who weren't really listening. He knew my family drained me, but he didn't push. He waited for me to be ready. And I wasn't ready until the baby shower. Because here's the part no one knew. I planned that shower to test them. I didn't say that out loud. I didn't announce it. I didn't walk in with a clipboard and a trap. I just set up 2 baby showers. The first one was the decoy. I booked the cheapest community room I could find. I made the invitations simple. I let my mom host because she insisted, which meant she got to invite her friends and my sister got to bring whoever she wanted. I bought a small cake. I ordered a couple balloon bundles. I set out the registry link, but I didn't push it. And I watched. I watched how people treated me. I watched who showed up for me and who showed up for the chance to be seen. Most of all, I watched my mother. I watched my sister. And they failed in under 30 minutes. Because right after everyone finished singing to my sister, my mom clapped her hands and said, "Okay, gifts. Gifts for me, finally, right?" No, my mom started handing my sister the gifts. Not me. She picked up a wrapped box and said, "This one's from Aunt Carol. Open it, honey." My sister didn't even pretend to hesitate. She tore into it like it belonged to her. It was a baby blanket, pale yellow, soft, with little stitched stars. My sister held it up and said, "Cute. This will look better on a boy, but okay." People laughed again, like she was the entertainment. My baby kicked again, harder. Then my mom grabbed a stack of gift bags and said, "Let's put these in your car so you don't have to carry them." I blinked. My car is right outside. My mom didn't even look at me. "Your sister has more space." I watched, stunned, as they started carrying my gifts, my diapers, my bottles, my swaddles, the little baby bathtub, out the door, into my sister's trunk. My sister stood by the car with her keys, smiling like she'd just won a prize. I walked up and said quietly, "Those are mine." My sister shrugged. "We're family, it doesn't matter." My mom snapped, "Jennifer, don't ruin this. Don't ruin this." As if I was the problem. As if I was being dramatic for wanting the gifts meant for my baby. I could feel the heat behind my eyes. My hands were shaking. I wanted to scream. I wanted to grab every bag and rip it back. But I didn't. Because the test was already over. So I did the only thing I could do without giving them the fight they wanted. I smiled. I looked at my sister and said, "Congratulations." Then I looked at my mom and said, "Thank you for coming, everyone." And I left. I walked out like I was going to throw up. But I didn't. I held it together until I got in my car. Then I sat there, hands on the steering wheel, staring at the dashboard like it might tell me what to do next. My phone buzzed immediately. "Mom, where are you going? Don't be childish." "Sister, lol, you're so sensitive." "It's not that deep." "Aunt Carol." "Honey, are you okay?" Mark called. I answered on the second ring. "I'm coming to you," I said. His voice went soft. "Okay, drive safe." I drove to his place and walked inside like I was carrying something fragile. Because I was. I was carrying the final piece of hope I'd been holding on to, and it had just cracked. Mark didn't ask 100 questions. He didn't push me to vent. He just poured me a glass of water and sat next to me on the couch while I tried to breathe. After a few minutes, I said, "They put my gifts in her car." Mark's jaw tightened. "They did what?" I nodded. "And Mom made everyone sing to her. Because she's having a boy." Mark stared at the wall for a long moment. Then he said, "Jen, what do you want to do?" I thought about all the times I'd been the fixer. All the times I'd sent money and pretended it didn't sting. All the times I'd told myself, "It's fine. It's family." And I thought about my daughter. I didn't want her watching me shrink like that, so I said very calmly, "I'm done funding them." Mark didn't look surprised. He just nodded once. "Okay." And that's when I did it. One clean move. I opened my banking app and logged into the joint account I'd shared with my mom since I was 19. It started as a convenience thing. "So you can help us pay bills," she'd said, "so we can transfer easier." What it really meant was my mom could see when I got paid. And she always seemed to need something right after. I went to the transfer screen. My balance showed $14,672.19. Most of that was my baby fund. I moved every cent into my personal savings. Then I clicked Close Account. A little confirmation message popped up. "Are you sure?" "Yes." Then I went into my recurring payments list. I canceled the automatic $150 weekly transfer labeled Mom Groceries. I canceled the $90 monthly phone payment for my sister. I canceled the streaming service my parents used but pretended they paid for. One by one, I watched the confirmation screens pop up. Cancelled. 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 No yelling, no dramatic speech, just action. When I finished, I set my phone down and felt something strange. Relief. The next morning was the real baby shower. The one my family didn't know about. The one I'd planned quietly with my friends from the bar circuit, plus a couple regulars who'd become more like sisters than customers. I didn't want a pity party. I didn't want revenge. I wanted one day where my baby was celebrated without conditions. So I did it big. Not because I wanted to show off. Because for once, I wanted to feel like I mattered. I'd booked a small event space downtown with warm lighting and big windows. I hired a caterer with mini sandwiches and fruit trays and fancy little desserts that didn't make me nauseous. I had a photo booth with a flower wall. I had a jazz trio for background music. And yes, I got up and sang one song, just one, because my friends begged and because this time it felt safe. My best friend Tessa had gone insane with the decorations. Soft creams and dusty pinks. Tiny name cards. A baby girl banner that didn't apologize for being a girl. There was a diaper raffle. There were handwritten advice cards. There were people hugging me like I wasn't an afterthought. And it cost a lot. Around $40,000 total, once you counted the venue, food, setup, and all the little upgrades my friends insisted on covering pieces of. Because they wanted me to have it. It wasn't about being fancy. It was about being seen. When I walked in, the whole room shouted my name. Not my sister's. Mine. I cried, just a little, quietly, into Tessa's shoulder. And for the first time in months, my baby kicked, and it felt like joy instead of panic. People brought gifts, yes. But more than that, they brought presents. One of the older bartenders handed me a small envelope and said, "For diapers." Don't argue. A regular named Mrs. Delaney gave me a tiny knitted hat and said, "I made it while listening to you sing." Mark's sister brought a framed print with my baby's name on it, because she said, girls deserve to see their name celebrated. And the whole time, my phone stayed face down, because I didn't need my mom's approval to feel loved. Of course, the pictures went up. A friend posted a video of me laughing by the dessert table. Another posted the flower wall with me standing in front of it, hand on my belly, glowing in a way I hadn't felt in a long time. By that evening, my phone was exploding. Mom, what is this? Mom, you had another shower. Sister, wow, must be nice to have money to waste. Sister, guess you don't care about family. Mom, you embarrassed us. I stared at the messages and felt something almost funny in my chest. Because they weren't mad that I was hurt. They were mad that they missed the good part. They were mad that I had something without them controlling it. And the funniest part? They still hadn't mentioned my baby, not once, just themselves. My mom called 12 times in a row. I didn't answer. My sister left me a voice memo, crying in that performative way she always did when she wanted something. You're really going to punish me when I'm pregnant? She sniffed. Mom is devastated. Everyone thinks you hate us. You're ruining everything. I listened once, then deleted it. Then I texted one message in the family group chat. I'm not your backup bank. My accounts are closed. My baby will not be in competition with anyone. If you can't celebrate her, you don't get access to us. And then I muted the thread. The fallout came fast. My mom showed up at my apartment 2 days later with her lips pressed tight, like she was there to scold a teenager. She didn't ask how I was feeling. She didn't ask about the baby. She said, "You're being dramatic." I stood in the doorway and didn't invite her in. "I'm being clear," I said. She tried to push past me anyway. Mark stepped into view behind me, not threatening, just present. My mom stopped and looked at him like he was the reason I had boundaries. "There it is," she said bitterly. "You've changed." I nodded. "Yes, because I'm a mother now," she scoffed. "So you're cutting us off? Over a silly moment?" I didn't argue about the song. I didn't argue about the gifts in the car. Because if she didn't understand why that mattered, she wasn't going to understand anything I said. So I repeated myself, calm and steady. I won't fund a family my child isn't part of. My mom's eyes narrowed. So what? Your sister just keeps the gifts? After all the effort we made? I almost laughed. That was her focus. The stuff. You can get them back from her, I said. Or don't. Either way, I'm not chasing my own baby items like a game. My mom opened her mouth like she wanted to say something sharp. Then she realized there was nothing to threaten me with anymore. No account to drain. No weekly transfers to guilt out of me. She stood there for a second, then said, "Fine." and she walked away. My sister tried next. She texted me photos of her ultrasound. A little boy profile. Caption, "He's perfect. Don't you care?" I didn't respond. Then she tried a different angle. "Mom said you closed the account. How are they supposed to pay the electric bill?" That one almost got me, because my reflex was still there. The old Jennifer. The fixer. But then my baby kicked, and I remembered the shower. The song. The trunk. So I typed back. "They can figure it out. So can you." I didn't add more. I didn't explain. I just stopped, and that was the boundary. One financial move, one line. After that, things got quieter in a strange way. Not peaceful exactly, but clearer. I still got the occasional guilt text. A random aunt saying your mom is just hurt. My dad sending a thumbs up emoji like that was communication. But the money requests stopped, because they finally believed me. A month later, Tessa hosted a small baby brunch at my place. Nothing fancy, just pancakes, juice, and a stack of tiny onesies on my couch. Mark hung a little paper garland himself, crooked and adorable. My friends sat around my kitchen table laughing, telling me stories about their own mothers, about how messy families can be, and how you don't have to keep bleeding just because someone shares your last name. At one point, Tessa handed my baby a tiny stuffed bunny and said, "Welcome to the world, sweetheart, you've got a village." I looked around my apartment, at the mismatched chairs, at the cheap little flowers in a jar, at Mark flipping pancakes like this was the most normal thing in the world. And I felt something close. Not revenge, closure. That night, after everyone left, I opened the closet where I'd started stacking baby things. Some were gifts from the real shower. Some were things Mark and I bought ourselves. I taped one photo from the second shower to the inside of the closet door. Me smiling in front of that flower wall, hand on my belly, surrounded by people who actually chose me. I didn't do it to brag. I did it as a reminder. Because if my daughter ever grows up and asks why we don't go to grandma's house much, I want to tell her the truth in a way she can understand. I want to tell her. Because love isn't something you earn by paying for it. And because I finally learned something I should have learned a long time ago. If someone makes your child feel small, they don't get access to your wallet, or your life, or your baby. Not anymore.